Good afternoon. Welcome to the Exploring Climate Solutions webinar series. I'm Carrie Enright Cato from Director, Office of Climate Change Technology Research at Connecticut Deep. The series is brought to you by the Governor's Council on Climate Change. On April 22nd, 2015, Governor Malloy issued an executive order creating the Governor's Council on Climate Change, also known as the GC3. The council is charged with examining the efficacy of existing policies and regulations designed to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and identify new strategies to meet the state's greenhouse gas emissions reduction targets. The council is composed of 15 members from state agencies, quasi-state agencies, businesses, and nonprofits. To learn more about the GC3, please go to www.ct.gov/DEEP/GC3. The webinar series explores innovative and successful climate change solutions in Connecticut and the nation. The series provides firsthand accounts of high-profile municipal climate programs, climate initiatives in the corporate world, new greenhouse gas reporting frameworks, statewide sustainability programs, low-carbon fuel initiatives, and other programs and projects that help reduce greenhouse emissions and improve climate resilience. Today, we're excited to have Lynn Stoddard and Jessica Leclerc of Eastern Connecticut State University's Institute for Sustainable Energy. Lynn and Jessica will be presenting an overview of the recently launched Sustainable Connecticut program. Sustainable CT seeks to help municipalities across the state become more vibrant, healthy, resilient, and a thriving place for all their residents. More specifically, they will explain all the ways that you and your municipality can participate. The presentation will be about 40 minutes long, and then we'll open it up for questions from the audience. If you have a question, please submit your question in the question dialog box, and we'll read it aloud for Lynn and Jess to respond to. Before we get started, for those of you listening via your computer speakers, and if you're experiencing poor sound quality, I encourage you to call in using your telephone. I'd also encourage you to put yourself on mute if you're hearing echoes. Lynn and Jess, thank you again so much for presenting today. We're really looking forward to hearing about the launch of the program. So I'll go ahead and turn it over to you.
Awesome, great. So this is Lynn. Thank you so much, Carrie, for the opportunity. And thanks everyone for making the time to listen in today. We're excited to tell you a little bit more about Sustainable CT, which was just launched a few weeks ago. And we're going to roll right into it. So here's the brief agenda for the slideshow. Jess and I will be tag teaming it, and I'm going to just start out with the overview piece. So as many of you probably know, Sustainable CT is a sustainable community rating system for Connecticut towns. It was developed with lots of input from municipal leaders and stakeholders over the past couple of years. If you're familiar with LEED for buildings, you could think of this as maybe like LEED for Connecticut towns. So there are a few core elements that are summarized on this slide. The first is a menu of actions that towns can take to promote sustainability in their communities. There are about 55 actions on the list, and they span 9 different categories. We'll get into that in a minute. Second major component is resources, so support, funding, technical assistance, events, and so on to help towns navigate that menu of actions and implement the actions. And the third main piece is a certification. So as towns go through the action list and successfully complete actions, they get points. And the certification is kind of like, again, like LEED buildings, can become bronze or silver certified. So it's really recognition for towns and the actions they've, their sustainability accomplishments. Fourth bullet is just stressing that one of the main foundations in developing the program was to make sure that it's flexible and meets the needs of all of our towns in Connecticut, which are different in size and geography and location and so on. And yeah, at the core, it's a program to help build and support communities that are great places to live, work, and play in Connecticut. So we define Sustainable CT defines sustainability very broadly. These bullets are our 9 categories of actions, and then there are actions within each of these categories. So you can see from the slide, we're embracing sustainability definition that includes transportation, the operations of and infrastructure within towns, public services planning and land use planning in particular, protecting resources, supporting our local economies and businesses, housing and arts and culture, and equity as well. This is a little bit more about how broadly we define sustainability. This is in essence the vision statement of the program. So you can read it on the screen. I'm not going to read it to you, but again, we embrace health, economy, current, future, as well as the natural environment. So the benefits to towns are many. You can see the way we describe the categories for sustainable CT kind of creates, it's really a vision statement that, articulates some of the values and benefits within the categories. But we also have created these benefit icons that identify in a little more detail additional benefits for taking these sustainability actions. And as we get into the presentation, we'll show you some sample actions, and you'll see that these icons are spread throughout our action list on our website to kind of tee up where what types of benefits towns can expect from certain actions. So I'll just go through them quickly. Environmental impacts is kind of the traditional environmental benefits that we think of: air, land, water, enhanced protection of natural resources. Greenhouse gas reductions is a more specific environmental benefit that is getting at the mitigation aspect of reducing greenhouse gas emissions. Health and wellness is pretty self-explanatory. It's looking at physical health and wellness for all residents in a community. Cost savings, the program is for towns and mostly about things within their direct authority and sphere of influence. So when we talk about cost savings in our benefit icons, we're really talking about cost savings to the municipal budget. Economic well-being is a little bit broader look at cost and economy. So in that icon and that benefit, we're really looking at growth of local businesses and the benefits to the town residents and the town government and the whole community from thriving local businesses. Climate resilience is about improved ability to adapt to and accommodate the changes that are already happening to the climate, intense storms and so on. Community building is many of the actions are really designed to help engage residents and businesses and all members of the community in creating better places and helping achieve the type of community they want to become. And finally, equity is really about recognizing that sometimes portions of the community are underrepresented or suffer impacts out of proportion to other parts of the community. So equity is really about kind of ensuring that we're making this program and that the actions are implemented in a way that spread the benefits across the community and address traditional inequities. So another core component of the program is the ability for towns to learn from each other as they go on this journey of sustainability and implementing the actions. So this is a screenshot from our website. We have a few towns that have already registered, even though we launched a couple weeks ago, and Jess is going to get into how to register. But you'll see here Killingly being profiled with the dot there. When you hover over the dot, Killingly pops up. If we were to click on View Profile, we would see this pop up on the screen. And so here we have, the contact, obviously. We can look at the resolution that Killingly passed to join Sustainable CT. I'm using this as an example of kind of the way that the website empowers peer sharing, and it goes much deeper than this. If you can kind of imagine this as an example and transfer it to actions that towns will be taking and completing and submitting for credit under Sustainable CT, you can do the same thing. You can hover over the map. It would pop up, in this case, using the example of Killingly, and say, view their their sustainability actions. And you can actually dig in and see which actions they completed, how did they do it. In many cases, when you complete an action, you have to upload a plan or some kind of documentation showing that you did it. So other towns will actually, or anyone on the website can actually drill down and look exactly at what Killingly, in this case, did and share the great ideas. Backing up a little bit to the foundation of our program and the story behind it, it began with these main partners that you're seeing on the screen. So the Institute for Sustainable Energy here at Eastern Connecticut State University is me, Lynn Stoddard, Jess LeClaire, and Alyssa Norwood. And we have a bunch of students and others on our team supporting the program as well. We have been working with the Connecticut Conference of Municipalities to get the Municipal Voice to create this program and define the vision for it. So we've been working with CCM and their municipal leaders for almost 2 years to create a program that works for our towns. And we are very grateful that all of the program development and exploration has been supported by 3 generous foundations in Connecticut, Tremaine Foundation, Common Sense, and Hampshire Foundation. And they continue to support ISC in administering the program. Here's just some shots of the creation of the Sustainable CT. I imagine many of you on the phone were probably involved in one way or another. We had over 200 people participating in 9 different working groups to develop the action list. We had general public forums about a year ago to get input from others. You'll see kind of an example in the photo at the top left of working groups that, put ideas on the wall and did dot voting and whatnot to kind of tease out which actions would be most valuable in this roadmap for towns. The photo on the bottom left is our advisory committee. You'll see some familiar faces, and I'll point out the 2 folks in the center on the seated are on the left, in the middle, are Ted Schaefer, First Selectman of Burlington, and Laura Francis, First Selectwoman of Durham. They were our co-chairs of the advisory committee. And the photo on the right has us and some others who were involved in the beginning and setting the vision for the program. So by the way, since you're looking at slides, that bottom photo at the right, the second person from the left is Jess, who will be presenting in a moment, and the third person from the left is me. Okay, I'm going to hand it over to Jess now to talk about the certification process.
All right, well, hello everyone. I want to thank CT Deep for having us on the line today, and thank you all for being interested in Sustainable CT. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the certification process itself. So if you're a city or town official interested in participating in Sustainable CT, these will be the 5 steps that you take. And we're going to walk through each one of these. So first, your town must pass the Sustainable CT resolution. The resolution formally demonstrates your interest in using our voluntary menu of actions and resources. The resolution must be passed by your local legislative body, except if you're a town with a town meeting form of government. In that case, you can pass the resolution by a board of selectmen. We provide a template to the resolution on our website, and you can see the link on the slide. So you can feel free to use the template as is. You can edit it. You can also draft your own resolution. If you choose to edit or draft your own resolution, we do require just a few elements. And these are also outlined on the website, but they are a statement of intent to participate, designation of a person who might be an elected official or a staff person who will serve as your point of contact. And we only need their title, but you can tell us their name too if you want. Your resolution must establish a sustainability team that will meet within 90 days of passing the resolution. And lastly, you have to have your sustainability team report annually to your municipal governing body. So your sustainability team will be created through your resolution, as I mentioned, and it can be a group that's appointed or made up of volunteers. And this team is the implementer of your sustainable CT actions. And we'll describe what actions are in just a little bit. So we've tried to be very flexible with the sustainability team composition, but we do require that each team must have at least 3 members, and one of the 3 must be an elected official or municipal staff member. And it's very likely here in Connecticut, we have a very active state, that your town or city already has a committee or commission active in areas similar to those addressed in Sustainable CT. And if so, that committee or that commission can take up the role as your sustainability team. You don't even need to change the name of the group. You just have to add or modify their work plan to include implementation of the program. So whether or not you modify an existing committee or if you create a new group, going through this process is a wonderful opportunity to reach out across your community to engage people who might not yet be involved in municipal efforts. So it's sort of like hitting the refresh button. And we provide guidance on sustainability team composition on our website, and we'd also be happy to discuss this during today's Q&A period. All right, so now that's step 1. That's our longest step. Step 2, you've got your resolution passed. You've got your sustainability team figured out. You can register your community on the Sustainable CT website. And you're going to create a profile much like you saw for the town of Killingly. And just in case you can't find it, on the homepage, there's a button in the top right-hand corner in the very, very top in the blue border that says register. So you click on that and it'll walk you through the steps to create a profile to also upload your resolution. All right, so moving on, once you've got your city and town profile set up, you can begin to complete actions, which is step 3. And there's no time limit to completing any action. You can work at your own pace. There's no time limit, I should say, as well, to completing certification. You can pass a resolution in 2018 and get certified in 2022 for the first time. That's fine. You really work at a pace that is effective for your town or city. And then, though, once you do think if you hit a point where you've reached the certification requirements, you can submit your actions for review, and that's step 4. And then step 5 is easy. We'll certify you if you've hit the certification requirements that I'll outline in just a couple slides. Certification will last you 3 years, but you can submit for additional points or a higher level of certification each year if you're interested. All right, so this slide shows the certification timeline for 2018. If you are planning to seek certification this coming year, there are just a few key dates to keep in mind. And we'll likely keep a schedule similar to this for future years, but we're going to use this year as a test and make sure it works for cities and towns. The first important date is November 28th, and that's past. That was the day we launched Sustainable CT. From that day forward, we are essentially open for business, and communities can begin to register online and work on actions. With Sustainable CT being a new program in the state, we'll be holding outreach events, workshops, and providing assistance throughout the year. And feel free to contact us at any time via phone, email, if you have any questions about the program or want us to come out and talk to you if you think you're interested in participating. The next important date for you is May 1st. This is an optional deadline to submit any actions you might have completed. And I just want to note that you don't have to have all of the certification requirements completed to submit. You can send us what you have finished on May 1st and then continue to work on actions over the summer. We'll review your pre-application and provide feedback that you may use to ready your final complete application, which is due on September 7th. Our certification review team will make final determinations by October 26th, and we will announce and make awards at the CCM Annual Convention in November of 2018. So the 2 levels of certification that are offered in 2018, you can see on the screen, are bronze and silver. And each level requires that you complete at least 1 action in each of the 9 categories, which you saw on one of the earlier slides, and Lynn will describe in a slide to come. To achieve bronze certification in 2018, you have to complete 200 or more points, and then for silver, the point level is 400. And I'm just going to caveat that this slide, these levels and point thresholds are for 2018, and they may be adapted over time. All right, I'm going to turn it back over to Lynn.
Okay, so we're going to drill down in a minute with some screenshots from our website into like what is an action, what's an example, and show you the depth of kind of support and detail available on the website to help you. But we're starting with this slide to just give you an overview of the types of actions included in the program. So if you remember back to one of the first slides, we had those 9 categories. Those are repeated here in bold. And then we've just pulled out one example from each category. So as you're looking at this, I just wanted to make a few points that there are actions that are very likely actions that your town has already completed. And this program does give credit for prior action. So we want to embrace all of the things you've already done and provide recognition for that. Actions span from things that are very simple, like holding some kind of sustainability event. That's kind of a one-day thing that you choose the topic and get a lot of people from your community there to do some outreach and engagement, to things that take a lot longer and frankly are perhaps a lot more transformational in terms of how your town does business. And an example of that would be implementing complete streets on this slide as an example. Which, if you're familiar with that term, it means making streets accessible and easily usable by all users, walkers, bikes, transit, as well as vehicles. So in order to do that, it might involve sidewalks or marking the roads with sharrows for bikes to use, or changes in, changes that are take a while to figure out, and a policy that's adopted before you do them. So there's this span of impact of the actions and a span of the degree of difficulty, I'd say, for kind of how much work it will take to do that. Many of the actions have multiple, I guess, kind of sub-actions within them. So you develop ag-friendly practices, gives you an assortment of ideas of ag-friendly practices, and there are also different variable points within that action depending on which you do. Many of them also have an open-ended part that allows you to develop your own ag-friendly practice that might not have been in the list. In addition to all these actions in these 9 categories, we have an innovation action, which is you submit your own action, tell us something great you did, and you can maybe qualify for credit for that. And if it's a great action that's transferable to other towns, it might be added to our list in upcoming years of actions for everyone to take. I wanted to just spend a moment on the final bullet on the lower right, inclusive and equitable community impacts. So it was very important to us in developing this program to embrace inclusion and diversity in our communities, and to make sure as towns are taking actions that they aren't resulting in unintended consequences on any given population of the community, that we're looking at our current residents as well as our future generations in an equitable sense. And so we have the equity category in action is a toolkit that we developed with some really great work that's been done in Seattle and across the country, Portland, Oregon, other parts of the country that we have borrowed from, and we had a working group on equity that customized that for Connecticut. So the equity action is really a toolkit where you're asked to look at equity as you're planning, doing, and reviewing the action you completed. And so it's really kind of a layering on to how to complete actions in what we feel will help ensure that they're done in a more equitable way for all members of our communities. So another part, as I mentioned in the very beginning, in addition to the action list, is resources to help support towns in taking those actions. This is another screenshot from our website. We have a grants portal. It's kind of got two main things on it. One, it's currently filled with grants that are out there that we have researched that can help, are directly aligned with actions in sustainable CT. So these grants are there and can help you in completing some of the actions. The second piece of the grants portal will be new money coming to towns directly as sustainable CT grants. And we already have some funders who have pledged to put some money on the table for to help towns implement sustainable CT actions. We're developing the details of that now, and those grants will run, again, through sustainable CT and be specifically really aligned towards the actions. So stay tuned for that. But the grants portal allows you to see what's available to help you. There is a search feature, so you can search by action to see what grants are there for different actions. And we will also be putting up a opportunity to kind of customize an email alert for grants within different action categories that you can sign up for. So trying to help you in every way we can connect with resources. Another resource that we're developing that we are planning to put into effect this summer is a Sustainable CT Fellowship Program. We're working on that in collaboration with colleges and universities throughout the state, and the vision is to match students from Connecticut colleges and universities to help towns with sustainable CT. We would do kind of the matchmaking and partner with the Council of Governments so that the students would actually be sitting at the Council of Government offices during the summer doing the work for towns within the various regions. So stay tuned as we develop more details on that. And Jess is going to jump back in.
All right. So we've spoken a lot about the certification process and actions, and we wanted to just look at an action example in greater detail to help you get a sense of what we actually mean. And I'm going to try to walk through this part rather quickly so we do have time for your questions. But basically, each action is a sustainability best practice that was developed by many stakeholders, probably some of you on the phone, over the course of 2017. Every action in the program contains what is essentially a recipe for completion. We walk you through the required steps, submission documents, we identify available funding, like Lynn just mentioned, and available resources, and we provide examples from your neighbors if we can find them. So with that, let's dig in. Let's see here. So here you can see the 9 different categories plus the innovation action. And if you go to our website on the actions page, this is what you would see. And if you click on any one of these action categories, you get a drop-down menu of all the actions that fall within that particular category. So we're just going to take a look at dynamic and resilient planning. And these are the actions that make up this category. We're actually missing one that got cut off by the screenshot. But you can see that these are the different actions. For every action, we have the minimum amount of points. We have benefits associated with them. And some of the actions you can see have these variable points. And I don't know if you can see my little cursor, but I'm clicking on his inventory and assess historic resources. And what these variable points mean that Lynn alluded to are there's different ways you can achieve the action. And I just want to point out, though, if you are seeking to do an action as your categorical requirement, you only need to achieve the minimum number of points for it to count. So this is the action description for the inventory and assess historic resources action. And every action that we have in the program has a similar template, so we're just going to use this as an example. And you can see at the top the different point levels that you might be able to achieve. Again, we have the benefits and an option for printer-friendly and PDF versions. Those are pretty helpful to get all the information in one spot. And then on the left-hand side, there's a table of contents for the action description itself. The blue shaded objective here shows you the goal of the action, so you can see that in the body of the action. There's also a complementary action. So assess climate vulnerability is another action within the program that has a similar objective to this one. And you might find that completing this action helps you with assess climate vulnerability and vice versa. So where we saw those overlaps, we made the connections within that complementary action portion of the objective area. All right, that was a mouthful. The next thing, so we're going to work through the table of contents. We have the what to do section. Here we walk you through the steps to take to complete the action, as well as anything that's required in terms of submission. So this is just a screenshot. Right here, there'd be a scroll down arrow on the right-hand side, and you would see additional steps. But the first thing we say is perform an inventory of historic resources within your municipality, include all of these things, and you have to submit to us a copy of your completed historic resources inventory. If you are a town that's passed the resolution and you've registered online, you're going to have access to the portal, so you'll be able to track your submissions, and you'll have a button that you can click to help you submit. So it's not clear if you haven't created an online profile as a municipal user, but it is once you've completed that step. All right, so we're moving down the table of contents. We also offer suggestions of municipal and community collaborators who might be helpful carrying out the action in your town. And just please don't consider this list exhaustive. You know your community best, and you might have different groups working within your city or town that might be of assistance. We also outline available funding. So this teases out the grants that are in the grant portal that Lynn discussed that are specific to the action. The funding here might be competitive grants, it might be state or federal funding programs, it could be a rebate, it could be something else. But we wanted to pull out that information and make it easy for you to find and access and apply for. All right, and moving forward, we have additional resources in addition to the funding. So we wanted to identify relevant toolkits, guidance documents, programs, and organizations that might be helpful. And if you know of any resources that we've missed on the list that are amazing and would be of great assistance to municipalities, send it to us, we'll consider it, and we'll pop it on if it fits. All right, so moving on, we also have why this matters and the benefits. So I'm going to do a 2-for-1 here. And this might be helpful to people who are not familiar with any particular action, or perhaps not familiar with how an action ties to municipal operations. So if you're selling an action or you want to work on an action and sell it to your town, this might be a helpful section. And then the last two, we're going to do another 2-for-1. We have the Connecticut success stories and the credit for past action. With the Connecticut success stories, we wanted to provide an opportunity to learn from your peers. And for most actions, we've been able to include a link to a Connecticut city or town that has been successful within this particular action. They might have completed a portion of it or the whole thing. And we just wanted to give you some examples that you can rely on. And we conclude the action description with a description of how you can receive credit for past action. We know that some towns have been very active and have successfully completed the actions, and we want to provide credit, as Lynn mentioned. We outline what we call the shelf life for each action in this portion of the action description. This lets you know how far back into the past we will look to see if a past action qualifies for sustainable CT. And I hope that makes sense, but if it doesn't, we can talk about it at the end of the presentation. So you can submit or resubmit completed actions if they fall within the described shelf life. So just an example, here your inventory must have been completed within the past 10 years with a proof of update at the time of submission required. So we read that first step, you have to submit to us a historic resources inventory. If you've done an inventory in 2010 and it fits the requirements that we've spelled out, it counts. Just let us know when you submit for a certification that you've looked at it. Maybe one of your resources got damaged in Hurricane Sandy and it's no longer, you had to demolish it. So let us know, that's off the list, and that proves to us that you've updated it. So each action and each action subcomponent has the credit for past action spelled out. All right, now back to Lynn.
Okay, thanks, Jess. So this program is created for towns by towns. Obviously, you get, you're seeing how integrated it is with the responsibilities of our towns, but there are a lot of places for others to have a role in this. So I'm going to do this part quickly. There's some stuff on our website, and we're still teasing out how others can help support a town in sustainable CT. So individuals, of course, there are the sustainability teams, which will be composed of volunteers and organizations in the town that can support the actions. Just one thing about the sustainability teams, I think a lot of us view them as a core team, the way that Jess described, but then you're kind of bringing on different people when you're working in different areas of the sustainable CT menu. So if you're a core team, probably not going to have people who are really interested or expert in all of the categories to kind of bring people in and out and just make it an evolving, workable group of people to implement actions. So lots of room for individuals in your towns to get involved. Nonprofits, I think, will be really helpful. Those with expertise in land conservation or anything, housing, any of the action categories, can be really useful resources to a town in helping to support and implement actions. I mentioned the fellowship program. We're really eager to work with our colleges and universities in addition to their students on research initiatives that help inform sustainable CT, best practices, metrics, that kind of thing. We're eager to work with the campus sustainability offices and their host towns to work on actions together and support each other. And businesses as well will have opportunities for sponsorships and other ways that businesses can support your community. And of course, funders, yes. If anyone's on the phone who's really getting inspired by all this, we'll have opportunities to provide funding to support towns in sustainable CT actions, and that will be you know, chunks of money that can be redistributed to towns as grants to take action. And we're actually working on some kind of crowdfunding type things where anyone could pop in a couple of dollars to support community initiatives under the sustainable CT umbrella.
All right, and this is our last slide. And basically, we just wanted to let you all know that we're coming to you. So we've got 6 regional launch events scheduled across the state throughout January. Some of these have some snow dates associated with them, so have no fear. You can see we'll be in Wilton, New Haven, Hartford, Torrington, New London, and Willimantic. And we hope that you can join us for one or more. Bring your friends, family, municipal elected officials, municipal staff people, and we hope that we see you at one of these events. Registration is encouraged. We'd like to know who's going to be in the room, but we won't turn anyone away. So there's a link for more information there, and you can also just find it on our events page on sustainableCT.org. So with that, we want to thank you for listening to us and ask if you have any questions.
Great, thanks so much, Jess and Lynn. That was really a comprehensive overview. So if you do have questions, as Jess mentioned, please send them in using the dialog box and I'll read them aloud. I do have a list of questions to start with, so I'll just throw them out there as people send in additional. So will program staff be available to attend or present at town meetings, especially to help pass the resolution?
Yes, Jess has been out a lot already, and we will make ourselves available. If we get a zillion requests at once, we'll have to kind of figure out the timing, but we're very eager to come to you and help explain the program. So if you'd like one of us to come out and meet with your town, I would say the first step, feel free to contact us. Also encourage your town leaders to take advantage of the regional launch events, because perhaps a lot of the questions could be answered there, but we'll come out for sure.
Great. A couple of follow-up questions actually that are similar to that. I'll put all of them out there at the same time. So what's the best way to bring this to the attention of my town council? Obviously the sessions you're having sound like a great opportunity, but beyond that, if you have other ideas, and then are you reaching out to elected officials directly to ask for participation?
That's a great question. So one of the things I maybe didn't mention during the presentation part is, as we were developing this program, it was really important for us to make sure it had a strong municipal voice of every town in Connecticut. So we actually have had representation by every town in those working groups or advisory committees throughout the past year, all 169, either by their elected official, someone on the town staff, a resident, or through a regional organization like the COG representing multiple towns. So having said that, we have some awareness from just so many people being involved in developing the program. We'll work strongly with our COG partners, obviously strongly with CCM in getting the word out to elected officials who may not know about the program yet. The robust list of active clean energy task force volunteers throughout the state we're tapping into as well, because we know a lot of you will be the soldiers carrying this program forward. If you have other ideas about how to reach town officials, let us know. We have a lot of on our contact list already. We might do some blanket outreach to every elected official in the state at some point. But at this point, those are our major pathways. Did you want to add anything?
Yeah, just one other thing. One of our core partners is the Connecticut Conference of Municipalities, which represents most of Connecticut cities and towns. They're missing a few. And we did launch our program at their annual event. So we were able to get the Sustainable CT presentation, similar to what you saw, out in front of the eyes of, I don't know, probably 75 or 100 municipal leaders. So we're getting close. There's only 169, and we will get to everyone.
Great. Do you have any towns participating already?
We do. So I encourage you to hop on the website. You saw the map a little bit when we looked at the Killingly example. So you'll see the map of Connecticut with dots. There are currently 3 dots. Those are 3 towns that have already passed resolutions through their town councils and registered: Middletown, Durham, and Killingly. We've talked to many others of you, and Jess has been out at specific town meetings a bunch. So we know a lot more are in process. Kind of the timing of town council meetings, since you have to get the resolution passed. So we have a few officially registered, and as I said, many who have been actively participating all along before the launch.
Great, that's exciting. Are you aiming to have a specific number of towns join by the end of 2018?
I don't know, Jess, what do you think about 169?
I like it.
I mean, I think if we'd love to see half the towns registered by the end of the year. I think we could easily see more than that. And 169 is not a bad target to shoot for either.
Great. Hopefully we'll get there, yeah. So a couple more questions. Again, for those in the audience, please submit your questions if you have any. How sustainable is your organization? For instance, how secure is the funding for sustainable CT and for the long term?
Yes. So back to that slide of our partners, the Tremaine Foundation, Common Sense, and Hampshire have collaboratively funded the development of the program and the work we're doing to coordinate and administer the program. They have been rock solid partners and given an amazing degree of independence to the program in that they just wanted, their goal was to create a program that accelerated sustainability in Connecticut towns and recognized towns for their actions, and that was developed by towns. So they basically generously put money on the table for us to convene leaders to create this program, which is great. Moving forward, we have commitments from those same foundations to be supporting the administration of the program, certainly for the next few years. And we will be recruiting, as I mentioned, additional funding to pass through for new money for grants to support towns in taking action, and a lot of different ways of bringing monies into towns as well as sponsorships and money to directly support the operational costs of the program. We are not reliant on state or federal funding, although we anticipate great opportunities for leveraging any state or federal funds as passing through the towns or supporting the operations of the program. And but we know that's tricky these days with state and federal budget seeing. So we're on very sound footing, and we are bringing on additional capacity specifically for fundraising and providing the needs of administering the program and bringing new money to town.
Great. Are summer fellowships restricted to students matriculated at colleges, Connecticut colleges, or are they open to Connecticut residents/students attending college outside of Connecticut?
Both. So if you're a student who's interested, you either can be a student enrolled in one of our institutions of higher education, or you can be a permanent resident of the state and enrolled anywhere in the world.
Great. So unless there's any remaining questions that people want to type in, I want to thank you for the presentation. I'm super excited about the program and want to encourage towns to join. I think it's a great way to move forward on sustainability initiatives that lead to emissions reductions that obviously I very much support. I think it's a great way to create a sense of community in all of Connecticut's towns as well. So I look forward to seeing how the program progresses over the next year, and Deep, looks forward to playing a role in supporting the work of municipalities and implementing the action items.
Well, great. Thank you, Carrie, and a shout out and thank you to the DEEP team and Commissioner Klee, who sat on our advisory committee and is serving on our new board of directors for the program. You've been a great partner in this, and we're eager to continue that as we move forward.
Great. So this recording, we are still working on getting our recordings up on the website. If you'd like a copy, please send an email to us, and we should be able to get that out to you. I think Lynn is going to post it on her website, so I encourage you to share it with others who weren't able to attend today. I also want to announce the next webinar. We haven't quite set the date, but it should be anywhere from mid-January to late January on the Green and Healthy Homes Initiative. So stay tuned for that. We'll send out an announcement probably soon after after the holidays, and let you know when exactly that will be. So thank you everyone for tuning in today. I hope you have a great weekend.